Welcome back, guys. This is going to be a second episode of me working on this canvas. It's roughly 50 inches across. It's a good size, kind of largish kind of canvas. And in the first episode, we've gone from making a sketch to starting a painting from scratch, and then taking it to this current stage. Between painting sessions, I carefully examine and look and think about the painting that I'm making to plot my next steps. Here I thought, after placing all these lighter grays and purples and greens, I lost some of the shadow that I'm needing on the bottom of the picture. The shadow kind of next to the trees, next to the bottom of the trees, it's going to create a definite placement of these objects, like a heavy darker shadow on the bottom of the scene is gonna make the objects less floaty in the air. Like right now, some of these tree trunks are just so disconnected from the ground. So I mixed black, a small amount of black, lots of yellow, a little bit of blue, and some white. And I got this kind of swampy, kind of a little bit muddy green. I liked it. It was matching the tone. The light and dark tone is about lighter or darker. So this tone of the color was matching my kind of taste or vision for how dark the bottom areas should be. And I'm using a mid-size brush, and I'm diluting paint, and I'm also mixing lighter and darker information kind of simultaneously if I wanted to. So yes, painting, the kind of painting I'm doing relies on layering, and it is possible to do anything I want with the layer I'm placing. It doesn't have to be cut out. I could blend it into the previous layer just on the edges. Once I get a color for certain areas, then I also bring some of that color into a few other areas that need dark, and this will unify the whole painting when colors are used in several areas. Then my eye is reading it as consistent color information, like the color palette that was chosen for the painting was carried through the entire artwork. There is what am I thinking when I'm doing my task? I am gearing up to be really patient with myself. I am giving myself room to make errors, to fail, and then to fix these errors and succeed. There may be I may think differently, and I may see something, and then changes are okay to make. So frustration and fear are completely out of the picture for the duration of my work time. It's just so I'm kind of, my inner attitude is to create, play, enjoy, connect with deep creative aspects of myself, communicate with the universe, anything, meditate, and stick with the process. A painting session for me starts when I already warmed up, so I'm often doing a background when I first start my day painting. I would do something secondary, something not demanding, something where I could just relax and easily kind of work into the picture and wait maybe for 30-40 minutes, and once I feel warmed up, then I can attempt more complex features. I'm also bringing some more light information into the background and connecting that with the dark that I brought in. And there is definitely a brighter light on the ground in between the trees, between the shadows, and I'm attempting to get that going more prominently, more visibly. My paint flows really easily and really well over the surface because I have a spray bottle, and I spray the mixture of paint on the palette and with water, and it gives the paint more vehicle. It moves faster. And when I paint, I'm quite loose, and I'm trying to rely on expressive properties of paint and brush, so I can create broad, big areas with brush, and I can also kind of feather touch, very lightly touch the paint and drag it in a way that will make for soft and more detailed strokes. I can fade, I can create small, tiny information, and I can also combine it all into a mass of light. So I'm kind of, I'm painting broadly, and I'm covering quite a field. Like I'm covering a quarter of a painting or more when I'm just bringing next color information. And details, there's still, detailing is still really far away at this point. It's really helpful, I find, to go through some art books or browse through the internet to look at the work of inspiring artists that I admire, that I learn from, that looking at their work gets me excited and inspired. So if I'm going to do this painterly task of building contrast from dark to light, I'm in landscape, I'm going to go to look at some of the artists that do it so well, some old masters, and I'm gonna see how did they do it, and I'll get excited, and then I'll snap to action myself after that. Little by little, we are getting into all of the features of the painting. I started the trees with a palette knife, but in the process of building these darks and midtones and lights, I maybe lost some fine features. So I am going in with a brush, and I am graffitiing, writing like almost like a calligraphy, or if this was, it could be done with a marker just the same. And I'm kind of bringing back the particular markings of the birch tree. And then like, my challenge is, how do I make them look natural and birch tree like? What is it about the birch tree? Which way are these darker marks on the tree bark going? What do they look like? And so I'm digging into the drawing of some of these details or particularities. The key to having a diverse and visually appealing surface is using large, mid-size, and small marks. So the spots, the brush strokes that I'm making, I'm deliberately varying them in size. And also I'm placing the little strokes and lines and smears of black or dark gray on different angles, so that there is a consistent, agreeable, birch-like skin impression that these trees are getting. I like this process. It's like drawing abstract designs. So it's quite fun, and I could sit for quite a while and just engage in creating the surface to represent the bark of the tree. I'm giving myself time, a lot of creative support. I'm telling myself, hey, mess it up. Do what your heart desires. Play. You're safe to create and be silly with paint. Anything goes at this point. Get into your element. And so once I have this personal inner support, it becomes really fluid and enjoyable, and I can work for extended amount of time with this attitude. And even if something is a struggle, if I'm not able to work it out, I still have lots of juice to come back the same instant. Like I'm like, oh, I don't like this. That's okay. You're playing. Let's invent another appearance and see if we like that. At any time that I'm painting, I'm standing back quite a bit and I am examining my progress. Is it going well? Is like, what am I thinking? What would it be? What would be the criteria for this to go well? I find areas that I like, that are balanced and really cool and well made and appeal to me and make sense to me. I can recognize the areas that work well, and I'm saving those areas, or I'm taking the clues from the areas that I successfully created, and then I'm taking those clues and making other areas in the same kind of mode. So I'm searching for kind of key successful painterly areas within anywhere on the painting surface, and I'm keen to save these spots and to build on them by transforming less successful spots into more like the ones that did work. And it's possible to get a style clues, kind of learn from myself. Oh, I was just smearing paint on the surface and it landed in such a expressive and painterly way that I can learn from it and I can take it to the next level by consciously using it. And so I guess I'm really kind of digging in and experimenting a lot with how I want to portray the objects of the trees and how I want them to be. And I'm covering quite a bit of my initial first layers where the palette knife work was done. But that's okay. In some areas there will be more developed, detailed sections, and that's okay. Here the note would be that and to try not to bring white into the middle of the tree trunk, because I really wanted to have contrast and to have a definite lit area, and that's on my right, that's on our right. And if I bring any of the white into the middle or towards the left of the object, it will flatten it. So I'm kind of going back into the highlight or the light area, and I am organizing it more, trying to get to as close to the final version, as close to completion of each area as possible. And I'm hoping that if I spend some time working into the surface, and then everything will land just right, and I can see that, oh, okay, I maybe have less labor to do now, and I'm liking the image. So those are my hopes, is that my efforts will amount to a beautiful resolution, or satisfying resolution, and I can move to next task within the painting. I decided to add brighter mid-tone green between darks and lights on the floor, on the ground that I set up earlier, to connect the shadow and the light areas even more. They seemed a little detached, a little too much contrast between the light and dark there, so I thought this mid-tone green will be the connecting mid-tone, and I can take out some of the dark areas that are not working or are not needed, and I can also introduce a little more information or detail with a little bit of a different brush stroke that I'm using there. At different times of day, I could develop dislike towards my painting, or like, oh, I'm not liking it, it's not working out, and then my mood can change and I can discover something beautiful about it, and then all of a sudden I'll like it. So it's a little bit, a bit of a kind of a dance of being serious and paying attention to my work, and not being emotionally